RBL Weekly back on the air, past the halfway point of the season. We got 5 great battles lined up for this week. And I'm joined, as always, by the brilliant... That's your favorite one, right?
Yeah.
Sarah Keller. How's it going?
Good. I don't know why brilliant. It's just, I like it.
Yeah, that's the one that you gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Like when I said that the first time.
Probably because I don't hear it enough.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you have a list of superlatives you want me to use, just...
Oh, God. What kind of a twat would I be if I did? Hold on. Excuse me. These are my preferred superlatives. No, I don't. But.
Okay. All right. Then we'll stick with brilliant. I think you've proved to be brilliant as you break down the battles.
Thank you.
Looking at things from a different perspective. And Lord knows, I don't know about you, but I'm running on fumes at this point.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with things to talk about.
People don't understand. So this is This is the 18th week of the season. So we have had 17 weeks, 5 battles a week, which means we featured 85 battles just this season. We are coming up on 700 total battles across the league, featuring over 800 battlers. I've reviewed a lot more than we've even watched on the show because, I had 10 different submissions this week from people, trying to get on. There's only so many ways you can get in front of a camera and be like, I really liked when he called the other guy a pedophile. It was really clever. Yeah. So I apologize in advance because I felt this last week. I felt afterwards. Do you ever get this? Like you record and then we hit the stop button and you're just like, man, I hope I wasn't too like harsh or shitty about that one thing because it's like I love what everybody's doing, but you got to come up with different stuff to say, right?
100%. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I hope I don't come across mean, but like it's way easier to point out what people do wrong than it is to point out what they do right, especially when in this context particularly, what people are doing right is a lot of the same things.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm repeating myself. And then, I feel like sometimes if I'm really picking on someone, it's actually because I liked them, but that it probably does not read that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I
think we definitely have higher expectations for the people we've seen a lot, the people that we like, and then it almost comes off like a tough love kind of thing where it's like, we're like, you're better than this.
Yeah.
You were at an 8. I need you at a 10. And I don't ever want it to come across that way. At the end of the day, this is still like a fun thing. We're all comics, and I would hate to be just like some newer comic in Modesto who drives up to Sacramento for a battle, and next thing you know, you got me shitting on you on some goofy podcast. So apologies in advance to anybody. If you made the top 5, assume that we like what you're doing up there. If you didn't make the top 5, assume that we hate you. Is that fair?
Go fuck yourself immediately.
No, we have some great battles this week. Last week was sort of international heavy. We had submissions from a few different international global cities make the list. This week we have 1 international city and then 4 American battles.
Yeah.
So in honor of the 4th of July.
I was just going to say, yeah.
This is our American-only episode. Do you want to just jump into the battles?
Let's do it.
So let's start off this week in Denver, and we start with a title match. This was the end of their several-month-long run to crown the first ever Denver champion, and this took place at the Denver Improv. Now, in the past 2 weeks, we saw both of the semifinal matches, which saw Evan Joe and Devesh Patel punch their ticket to the finals. The number 5 battle this week is those finals. This was the main event at the first show at the Improv. And it's Evan Joe versus Devesh Patel from Denver, number 5 this week. Here it is.
Wow. I mean, what can I say about Devesh that hasn't already been whispered in the back of an Uber? Devesh is here to answer the question, what would happen if I put an Obama mask in the microwave?
Put it on, you drive for Uber. Guys, Evan's actually a Denver local, born and raised right here in Denver proper, So when I heard that the Nuggets won the championship, he's the first person I thought about, Evan's been waiting a long time for a crowd big enough to shoot his AR-15 into,
Thank you. Out here looking like Steve Carell's shadow. That's my
a hero. How'd you know that?
Devesh is the kind of sicko that wishes all women would turn into snakes. That way he could finally charm one.
Play that song. You don't know that song? He doesn't have that one on the deck. You don't have that one on the deck? All right. Guys, Spider-Man is actually Evan's favorite superhero. He has spider webs tattooed on both his wrists, actually. I think it's because they're so similar, you know? They both grew up kind of poor. They got bullied in school. And but none of that matters, you know? When they're out there shooting people with that white fluid that comes out of their bodies. I fucked that up, guys.
Wow.
I knew I would too, huh?
A Spider-Man joke coming from the Brown Goblin. That's...
Doesn't make any sense.
Devesh, you wacky sand Mexican. Wow. You look like an Oompa Loompas accountant. Okay.
All right. That's even Steven. All right. Guys, Evan's dad, he was actually a rock star. That's true. And his mom taught preschool. And Evan looks like his parents fed him rock stars while he was in preschool.
That did happen. Talking about my parents, I was actually surprised to learn that Devesh's parents don't actually work at a 7-Eleven, especially because every July his mom gives me a free Slurpee.
Guys, I can't beat Evan at that. He's really good at, wordplay. He grew up watching Stephen Wright. So, he's really good at connecting words, getting from one word to another word. Even outside of comedy, Those underage kids say no, but he gets them to say yes.
How do you think I got him to agree to the battle?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
You guys might recognize Devesh from the business end of the Dalai Lama's tongue, but that's not the only thing he's known for. He's actually been making quite a stir lately as the world's first transgender mathlete, dominating the field of women's arithmetic. Stick to men's math, monkey mouth. Wow.
Thank you. Can you say that? Evan often goes a little too far in these roast battles, hurting people's feelings. This is just general, and then right afterwards, he regrets it, in the moment, it seemed like a good idea, but then immediately after, just the thought of it makes him sick to his stomach. And I honestly think that's good, now you know how all your girlfriends feel after having sex with you. All right, god damn it.
Wow.
That's meaner than what he said?
Wow.
Number 5 this week, Denver. Had some moments.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't the most consistent battle.
Nope.
A lot of ups and downs.
Yep.
Roller coaster. I laughed out loud a few times, which is a good sign. A couple times it was at moments that the crowd didn't laugh at.
Uh-huh.
It was just me enjoying it on a sicko kind of level. Let me get your thoughts to start. What did you think?
I think I expected more from both of them because I've seen them the last couple weeks do really, really well. Mm-hmm. And, maybe it speaks to the what I would call maybe the curse of the championship battle that we've discussed on this many times. Devesh in particular, we've only seen him a couple times on this, but both times, he doesn't struggle. He doesn't meander with his jokes. He's very a sniper, and he struggled a couple of times in this one and really meandered, and it was very just out of character for him, at least from what we've seen. So I was surprised at that. And to his credit, he called it out and was like, oh, fuck. So I appreciated that. I thought the best moment, hands down, in the entire battle was when Devesh said, Evan often goes too far. Because it followed Evan's monkey mouth flop that was just like, I think I heard the audience audibly groan. So that for me was the best. And I was just like, yeah, you should have just left it at that. Because that was like, yep.
It was funnier when I thought it was just like an off the cuff thought that he had, where he was like, I think he even said Evan often goes too far and hurts people's feelings or something like that. But then it was like part of the joke.
Yeah.
And the joke just, did not connect. I think the thing that really kind of like jumped out at me was exactly the same thing you were talking about, which is Devesh is usually very in control up there. And something really struck me when his second joke, he messed that one up. And it was super long. It was about Spider-Man. And he said at the end of the joke, I fucked that up and I knew I would. And I caught that and I'm like, that's a guy who had a lot of nerves going into that.
Yeah.
If you are heading onto that stage, and look, there's the championship thing for sure, but there's also the fact that like Denver roast battle was barely even a thing a year ago. And now they've gotten to this point where at the Rock Pile, their normal venue, they're selling out every week. This is their first show at the Denver Improv.
It looks great.
It looks amazing. And you're headlining this show in front of a big crowd at a major comedy club in your city, and you're going for the championship and everything else. And nerves are to be expected. But when he said, I messed that up and I knew I would, if you go into a battle expecting it to go poorly, you are dead on arrival.
100%.
You have no shot at winning that battle, in my opinion. When you start getting in your own head beforehand, there's enough to stress out about up there without you predicting your own doom beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do feel that way going in of like, oh, I'm going to fuck this joke up, then either don't do that joke. That's fine. Pick a different one. Or do whatever you need to do to not fuck it up.
Yes.
If that's saying it 7,000 times while juggling crystal vases, I've never said vase in my fucking life. Why did I say that? Then do that, like set yourself up for success and give yourself that confidence going in because you need it.
For sure. I mean, I tend to do like longer jokes, and I would say once
So
a
long.
battle. So long.
I'm just kidding.
But I do the crystal vase thing that you were just discussing, which is before a battle, I will, if I have one that I'm worried about, I will recite it 1 billion times until I feel comfortable with it. And if it gets to the point where I'm like, I don't think I could pull this off, maybe that's the time to reach for plan B.
Yep.
Maybe that's the time to figure out what else do I have that's a little bit shorter and I feel more confident that I can get the delivery down pat on.
Yeah, there's so much that you have to think about on stage. Having the words come out of your mouth correctly should be the last thing. Like, I say them out loud so many times that it's muscle memory. Like, I'm not even thinking about what I'm saying when the joke is coming out. I'm thinking about the next thing because the joke is in my mouth so well. And the times that I haven't done that are the fucking times that I've eaten shit and fucked up on stage. And it has just shown me that, like, no matter how much I'm like, I know the jokes. I need to say those over and over again out loud with my mouth hole. Because in your head is not the same thing.
I honestly think the memorization and everything is just as challenging as the writing.
100%.
If not more so.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only other note I had was Evan did, and I think I noticed this from his last battle too, and maybe you mentioned it, but like it was 100% race jokes. And I guess just for a championship match, I would challenge him. Like, there's got to be more to Devesh. Like, there's got to be something more interesting about him besides his race.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to see a little bit more diversity in his jokes.
Yeah, we've seen Evan a couple times now. Both of these guys, this is their third time this season on the podcast, which is, not a lot of people have done that 3 times. There's only a handful of guys, so congrats to both of them. Evan's last one was against Joe McKenna, who is a white guy, but before that he battled, I believe, Manny Valdez, who...
Yeah. Okay,
and that might have been pretty heavily, I don't remember, but wouldn't surprise me if it was pretty heavily, racial. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say there was a ton of diversity in this material. Really from either of them. Devesh had a mass shooter joke and a pedophile joke and a rapist kind of joke, all in the same... So we hit a lot of the roast battle staples, the classics. I also understand that you're probably cooked at the end of a tournament. This is, for each of them, I believe, their fourth battle en route to trying to win the championship.
In how many weeks?
I don't know. It's been going on for a minute.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe I'm cutting too much slack. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at all my jokes that I really like from Evan, and they are all racially sort of charged. The Slurpee joke was funny.
I liked it.
I do like the fact that after all the years of evolution in the art of roasting and how far the sport has come, sometimes I fucked your mom is still just such an effective tool.
Yeah.
And he played that one to perfection. So, congratulations to both of them for making the finals of the tournament and getting to headline the first show at the Denver Improv. Big fan of Denver and everything that they've done so far this season. Their growth, it's been really impressive to see. And congrats to Evan on being the first ever Denver champion. Yeah. So let's keep it moving right now. And for the number 4 battle, we are going to take it right here to Los Angeles. This was a fun one this past week in the Belly Room between Elise Golgowski and Los Digits.
Oh.
Here it is. Let's check it out.
Are we ready for this? Digits! Elise Golgowski. Let's roll!
Digits, thank you for taking a break from starting fights at Six Flags to be here. We really appreciate it. Ladies first, sorry.
You obviously went first.
Yeah, I'm a woman.
You broke that rule. Hey, everybody give it up for Lindsay Lohan. Hey, yo, Elise's parents are not from Poland, but she did come out Polish.
Digits is just Mags. I'm tall enough to ride all the rides at Six Flags. Fine. Oh boy. Digits is Mexican, but the only time he'll clean a plate is if you put Coke on it.
What the fuck? Well, that's my job. You can put Sprite on it too. Hey, yo, Elise is an actress. She's been in movies and she does theater plays. But it's not, she's never broken the fourth wall. She just signed a petition to build one.
Cool. Thank you, Ricky Ritardo.
That's an overplayed ass joke, fool. Everybody give it up for my grandma's bass.
Okay. Digits, keep squatting like that because it's muscle memory from picking fruit.
Nah, I keep squatting like that so you can't see me, fool. She got a big ass nose. You can't see her do that.
Good one, Edward Allen Cholo.
Thank you, Eva Longoria. Hey, yo, Elisa's dating life sucks. She's single and she doesn't have kids. But that's not because she's infertile. It's because she's the last bird of her kind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I look like a bird and you're about to get egg on your face, you big disgrace, walking and squatting all over the fucking place.
Bars! What?
Yeah. Bars, rap battle,
Was
bitch.
that Limp Bizkit?
That was Eminem. You seen the last battle for 8 Mile, right? Oh boy. Digits is so Mexican, he cuts his coke with tajin.
That's true, fool. does black magic. You know, that's when she calls the cops on the black neighbors and makes them disappear.
I'm black neighbors.
Alright, guys. Let's wrap this up before this guy's ankle monitor goes off, alright? So, Digits is a big Selena fan. Every night he takes it up the bitty bitty bum bum.
That's not true, fool. That's true. Hey, yo, at least looks like she does seances, so she can talk to dead managers. Let's go. Hey, yo, yeah, ready or what? Hey, yo, at least looks like she yells timber when she comes.
Digits formed his own roast battle show called No Llores, which means no crying. Fun fact, No Llores is also what his cellmate used to whisper in his ear at lights out.
Brian, she didn't just beat him, she appropriated him.
All right, number 4, L.A. Digits versus Elise Golgowski. What'd you think?
Oh man, it had so much to it, as any Digits battle does.
Every Digits battle is like a controlled car wreck.
Yeah.
Like a 38 car pile up on the highway in the best way possible.
Okay. Oh, you never know where to start with a Digits
I know.
battle.
That's why I didn't even introduce a thought. The camera started rolling and I was just like, well, that was something, Sarah.
Yeah,
Because I have no idea where to begin. Go ahead.
It's always really interesting to me when Digits gets rattled in a battle. Because his persona is like unrattleable. And yet Digits, the human being, really he takes this very seriously and takes it to heart. And there were moments in that battle where Elise fully rattled him, and he came back from it though, and kind of spectacularly. That's what I have to say initially.
Okay. So first of all, I thought it was a very entertaining battle. I thought that they were both, and by the way, kind of short notice too. There was a battle that dropped out, so that was about a week and a half notice.
Wow.
Which, is, I thought they did a great job. It was very entertaining. It was kind of like the last battle in that it wasn't the most consistent thing. There were a couple of, audibly awkward kind of moments. Elise, please don't sing anymore. The "We Will Rock You" thing. Don't ever do that again. I think that most of your jokes were great. I also don't know what Edward Allan Cholo was supposed to be. We paused the battle and we all discussed in the room, what do you think that was a reference to? And we landed somewhere between Edward James Olmos and Edgar Allan Poe. And I don't know what it was supposed to be, but so many of the other jokes were just smashing. The muscle memory from picking fruit. The cuts Coke with tahine is just crazy. I mean, the overtime joke was great. I think the thing Digits got rattled about is, because I heard him say at one point something, I don't remember what joke it was in reference
Ricky
to.
Ritardo.
Yeah, he said it was a played out joke. Now here's the thing. I know Digits has heard similar jokes from battle to battle. I think that this is like a fine line discussion in general. Forget digits for a second. But there's always the issue of like, you hear a joke that somebody else you heard before. Are we to hold everybody to the standards where they're supposed to have an encyclopedic knowledge and memory bank of every roast joke ever told, and to make sure that they don't tell anything that was similar or even the exact same joke? Because I've heard that before too, and I don't think that... I think it would be a really bold move to take somebody else's joke verbatim intentionally.
Yeah.
I think what is more than likely probably happening, and I know Digits would disagree with this. I know any joke that anybody uses against him that's similar to another joke, he's going to say that they stole it. And I understand that perspective. I get it. I don't think he's one of those guys who provides a lot of information. I don't think you sit down with Digits and he goes, all right, well, when I was 9, I went to this elementary school. I don't think there's much
I want to
of
know
that.
what elementary school
I would love
Digits
to know.
went to.
I want to know Digits' entire life story, but my feeling is if you battle him, he's just like,
I'm Digits.
I'm Digits.
Yeah.
And you have to work with that.
Right.
So I think there's going to be a lot of material and concepts that kind of get repeated because it's like, well, I don't have a ton to work with. There's going to be a lot of Mexican cholo kind of jokes, and I think almost as a necessary evil because he's such a cartoon character, and I don't think anybody knows really a lot about him. So I think that was his frustration, is he felt like he had heard variations of some of those jokes before. And I understand that frustration, but I also think if you're going to battle every 2 weeks and not give anybody any information about yourself,
Yeah, you got to
you're just going to hear a lot of like concepts repeated.
Yeah, I feel like if somebody says a joke about you that you've heard before, like a topic that you're like, ugh, like we've all had that happen.
Yeah.
I personally, like when I'm watching a battle and somebody calls it out, unless they do it in a funny way, I hate it.
Yeah.
Because 100% of the time, it makes the person calling it out look bad and look like a sore loser. I think. How do you feel about like calling it out in the moment?
I agree. I think that he did it in a way. I mean, he just mentioned it.
Yeah, I didn't even catch it.
I barely even caught it. So I definitely think he handled everything right on stage.
Yeah.
Insofar as like one of my favorite moments was when she hit him with the Tajín joke, and he waited for the laughter to die down, and he was like, "That's true."
Yeah.
And then the next one, he was like, "That's not true." And then he was like, "All right, it's true."
Yeah.
Like, he's gotten really, really good at that. It's really effective. Kind of like, I'm not even gonna say defense because it's not attacking the opponent or knocking the opponent down. It's elevating the entire battle. So I love the way that he kind of handled everything on stage. But I saw like on social media, like he was I think he was like, when they posted the battle, he was encouraging people to go onto the Roast Battle Instagram and like vote for who really won and all of that kind of stuff. So I know he takes the wins and losses very seriously, but I love the fact that it's not in the moment. He's like, I'm still having fun up there. And you want to talk about like the ultimate win. Nobody remembers for the most part who wins and loses these things. I'm sitting in the back of the room on Tuesday night, and there's a guy, I'm all the way back by the sound booth, and there's a guy in the last row, this big guy in like a hoodie, and he's sitting there, and he's talking to another guy who I believe was one of Digits' friends, and they're talking as Digits is like on stage, and the guy in the hoodie, he's just like, yeah, man, he's really good. The guy in the hoodie, it turns out, was John Bones Jones, one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time.
Wow.
Like, a super famous guy. Digits, after the battle, goes to Saddle Ranch, which, if you're not from LA, is just a horrible bar right by the Comedy Store.
It had its own reality show for a while.
Did it really?
It did.
Oh, it's like a cowboy. They have the mechanical bull, the whole deal. A lot of times battlers will go there afterwards to hang out. So Digits goes there, and from across the bar, he hears, "Yo!" And it's John Jones asking to take pictures with Digits.
That's incredible.
Digits posted a picture of John Jones, one of the greatest fighters of all time, doing the Digits pose. Digits didn't ask him for a picture. He asked Digits for pictures.
That's awesome.
Like, just crazy, insane that he has cultivated this personality that he has become one of the most memorable battlers, and it almost doesn't matter whether he wins or loses. I don't think it matters in general, but for him especially, nobody cares except for him, and he cares so much.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I do. But, I think getting up there and having a great battle and having, like, a legitimate celebrity be like, you're the man, dude. Like, that's, to me, worth a little bit more than actually winning. In a lot of ways.
And I wasn't, just to be clear, I wasn't talking about this battle in particular. I was more just talking about the tactic of calling it out in general.
I've never seen it work. That tactic.
Yeah. I've never seen it work, and it always gives me a cringe feeling. But in this scenario, I didn't even hear Digit say it. So those were two separate conversations. I thought Digits had really great jokes on top of his just Digitson. I liked the Polish joke.
It was great.
I liked the dead manager's joke. That was an incredible joke. As like following a great sequencing, following it with from the Black Magic joke.
Yep.
My only criticism was when he came out initially and called her Lindsay Lohan. We hadn't been introduced to the
bird thing
yet, and so it did not land with me until you said, "Oh, it's a bird thing," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." But like, I don't know that I didn't get it right away. Maybe other people did, but for me, it fell flat. If he had done that after the bird stuff, I would have gotten it.
I really liked his rebuttal too when she did the squat, like the squatting thing, and he was just kind of like, "No, I'm down here so you can't see me," and I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "She has a big nose."
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, that was I thought that was really well done too.
And like, good on him for reading the audience and being like, "Oh, they didn't get it. Let me explain it more."
Yeah.
You know, I think that's something like Digits has really improved on, is like his ability to read the audience and like give them what they need. I thought Elise had incredible jokes. I really enjoyed the overtime joke where Elise was just patiently waiting and judging. Like, she seemed so natural, you know, in the back, just judging a minority.
Yeah.
Like, very comfortable. No, but it was just adorable watching her. She just was like, "Oh, you take your time."
I also loved this 10 seconds of silence.
Yes.
I really did. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was fun. I grade Digits battles on a whole different level than I grade any other battles.
Yeah.
He's a different guy. He's got a whole character that not many people have ever established kind of to that level. And his joke writing is solid. It's improved a great deal. He doesn't bat 1,000, but he hits way more than he misses.
Yeah.
And he's just fun and entertaining. I thought he might have even been a little bit more consistent because I thought Elise had a couple of big whiffs in there, but I think her big punches connected and hit harder than his. So I'm not here to judge the battle. I enjoyed it. And it was the number 4 battle this week, so great job, guys. Let's keep it going now and go to the number 3 battle. This comes to us from the comedy Mothership last month, and it features 2 different cities. This is Chicago versus Los Angeles. It is Brandon Kiefer from Chicago going up against Evan Warner from L.A. Here it is.
All right, this is Joe Rogan's Club. I feel this is the rules. Give it over, Evan. He could take the night off from plotting his revenge on all the women. He's literally the reason why all the women are gay now. Like, what do you got, Queens of Leon?
So Brandon actually used to work on a cooking show, which is crazy because the only thing he can make is a drink roofied. I'm joking. When he rapes a girl, he wants her awake.
All right, Dallas Buyers Club. This fucking hipster. He's going to bring AIDS back to be ironic. He grew up on the beaches of Hawaii. His nickname in high school, he's a weirdo. They called him Sandy Hook.
I look like I have AIDS. I heard that's why your wife's divorcing you.
You're bad with money. I know that because you bought a plane ticket to come down here and tell that joke. I feel like you're about to tell the teacher that I'm making fun of you. All right, I'm sorry.
You know, for money, he's actually a professional welder, but sometimes he makes stuff just for him, like boys in little cages. I said that backwards. I'm dyslexic as fuck.
Give it up for the first kid that was ever conceived by a trans woman.
Doesn't Brandon look like when he eats corn on the cob, he also eats the cob? Brandon's also a locksmith professionally, so women, changing your locks won't help.
Evan's bisexual. He's like that submarine that's stuck. He's had 5 dudes crammed in him before.
Dude, I'm gay.
And his ass imploded. Like,
I'm gay. You look like you joined a hot dog eating contest just to see how many wieners you can get inside.
I won't beat you. We got one more?
You know.
One more?
Stop hurting. Brandon is actually getting divorced for the same reason that he's an only child. Once you've had him once, you never want to have him again.
You'd be a pedophile, but you said the kids keep bullying you. Come on, kids, give me my candy back. Don't take the keys to my van.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep it going for the last battle of the night.
All right, so that was number 3 this week, Chicago versus LA in Austin. This was a battle. We recorded an episode down in Austin, and we talked to both these guys, Brandon and Evan. This is the first time we're seeing their battle on the podcast, but we had an interesting kind of conversation about it. This is your first time seeing the battle. What did you think?
I thought it was a great battle. I think the more I watch battles from Mothership, the more I'm like, the audience is they're different than LA for sure.
Okay.
And I thought it was very interesting because we have a battle with 2 white dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were on board until they found out that Evan was bisexual. And then they were like, no, we don't like that kid anymore. And to me, it was very obvious. Like, Evan was hitting really fucking hard. I thought the cooking show joke was incredible out the gate. And he had the second hook hit after that with it. And I thought Brandon kind of, personally, like, the jokes weren't as hard hitting as Evan's in the beginning. The audience was giving him good responses. So in that, he was keeping pace with Evan, but like personally, I didn't think the jokes were. And then the tide turned and Evan started to get very flustered, and like rightfully so, because I think when you're on stage and there's a weird thing happening where you're like, the audience is not agreeing with what I'm used to and what like normally works. Mm-hmm. It's very jarring, and you're like, oh fuck, now I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And I feel like that's what happened. And Brandon, I think, like landed the knockout punch with that last joke, the pedophile bullying. That was a great run. I think I think the audience gave him a lot more, and I think it rattled Evan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the knockout punch was landed before that. I think that was, that was wailing away on someone who was already unconscious. I feel like and some of these things translate differently to video than they do in the room. As one of the judges for this battle, I could tell you about halfway through, it felt like we were witnessing like an assault.
Okay.
Like a literal assault on stage. That's how it felt. Evan was not connecting the way I'm sure he had hoped. He had a couple of good ones. Like his opening one.
He started strong,
the
I
tag
think.
when I'm just kidding. When he rapes a girl, he wants her to be awake. The eating the corn on the cob and eating the cob was also like funny. But there was just something to be said for just the momentum and how they each responded to the momentum.
At one point Evan's voice went up an octave. Like he was so rattled. He
was definitely rattled, and to hear him tell it, I think the bigger issue was sort of I think he's used to a rhythm of the battle. It's like, I go, then you go. And then Brandon was like, nah, if you're going to give me 2 seconds of silence, I'm going to take that opportunity. And really, you saw it from his first joke. Brandon's first joke was the only one that didn't hit. I don't remember what it was, but his first two, he had like a back-to-back on the first one. Neither one really connected. And then Evan waited 2 seconds too long to start his joke, and Brandon was just like, what do you got, Queens of Leon? Let's go. And he said, Queens of Leon, and that got a laugh. And it was like anytime Evan left a little window for Brandon to be able to, kind of crawl into and punch him in the mouth, he did. And I think that the flurry of punches and not having that back and forth kind of rhythm, I think that was rattling Evan just as much as like his jokes working or not working,
Yeah, and I think for me, I'm gonna say my word, but like whenever I see that in like in a battle and it seems unchivalrous, it immediately makes me like root for the person that's being punched a bunch, like, and so that could be part of it too. Is I was like, hey, Brandon, cool your jets, let him fucking talk, like, calm down. So that's like a personal thing of mine of like, if I see somebody not following the rules or being chivalrous or like seemingly being too much, it immediately makes me root against them.
Whereas 225 people in Austin, Texas on that night.
Well, yeah,
saw
they're
the
like,
exact
kick him
way.
while he's down.
Absolutely.
Like, this is Texas.
You cannot deny kind of the effectiveness, and this is what we talked about in the interview. And, Brandon was very upfront. He doesn't give a fuck about chivalry. He doesn't care about any of that. He's here to do one thing, which is bully his opponent. And he does so through, he said he'll make up facts about the person. Now, in this case, I don't think he really made up anything about Evan. All of his, premises were kind of silly and very funny. I mean, bringing AIDS back to be ironic. The hipster first kid conceived by a trans woman I thought was incredible.
Yeah, that was a great joke.
And then the run about he would be a pedophile, but he keeps getting bullied by the kids after you had just effectively bullied him for 5 minutes. It was very believable.
Yes.
You could absolutely see Evan being like, come on, kids, give me my candy back, because that's kind of how he was reacting on stage.
100%. Yeah.
So Brandon came in with a game plan and nailed it. I have a feeling that given the openness with which Brandon discusses his strategy of, I don't care about sportsmanship or chivalry, he's like a villain, a roast battle villain in your eyes, is he not?
But, there's a difference to me between a roast battle villain and like, and I don't want to say anything too bad about Brandon, but like when I think of a roast battle villain, I picture like a Lou Misiano, right? Mm-hmm. Like a character who is very fucking hateable, but follows the, for lack of a better word, the etiquette of roast battle. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that I would call him a villain of roast battle. Maybe just a straight up villain. Like, just I don't like it when people don't. It rubs me the wrong fucking way, and I have a real hard time.
Well, I get it.
That is my biggest personal bias, and I will outright say that.
Well, and I respect that, and I think everybody has their own point of view. Obviously, for the record, there are only 3 rules at roast battle.
Yes.
Original material only. No physical contact, and at the end of every battle we hug, and they followed all those rules, so there is nothing as the commissioner that I can do about anything, but I would understand. I straight up told Brandon I would not want to battle him. That sounds like a very unpleasant experience if we're being totally honest here. But again, it was so effective. I mean, I cannot state enough how hard he was crushing in that moment in that building. Like, it was wild.
I think the reason I have such a hard time with it is because in order for a battle to even be, like, this was a good battle, I think. And the only reason it was good is because Evan did hold his own for a long time.
Yeah.
If Evan had not been able to hold his own, it would have been a bad battle.
I agree.
It would have been incredibly uncomfortable. And that is why I don't like it when people don't follow the etiquette, because it's such a fine line. And you're setting yourself up for failure if your opponent doesn't 100% keep pace with you.
Yeah.
And I don't want a battle to fail.
It's a weird it's a weird balance between, is it a comedy show, is it a sport, is it a combination of the two? And Brandon to me is somebody who went in and treated it as a sport. I don't care about him doing good. Who cares? Why would I care? Why would I want him to do good? I want to kick his ass. I want to win the game. And I get that.
Well, I guess I would say you don't care if the other person does well, but in order for the battle to make it on RBL Weekly, it needs to be a good battle. So you need your opponent to do well.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's harder to do that if you're.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think that
that was directed at the camera.
I think that yeah, absolutely. I think that what we're trying to do here is have the best battles possible, and but I also understand, because I'm somebody who went through the evolution of my first few battles. I was overly competitive, and all I cared about was kind of like winning, and I was not in there to put on a show necessarily. And then I kind of like evolved into like the next level. But even then, I'm still like, there are some people who don't care at all.
Yeah, I don't think I ever like the competition part of it didn't really sink in all that much.
Boy,
maybe for like
nice.
one or two, but like, yeah, it never. I didn't play sports as a kid, so I don't have that like.
Yeah.
I'm not a competitive person.
Right.
I just want to have a good time with my friends.
That must be it must be enjoyable. Well, let's get to two friends who were having a great time over in Scotland.
Woo!
In our number 2 battle this week. This one is a lot of fun. 4 points go to Scotland for this battle. This is Lee Brophy versus Chris Weir. Here it is.
Hello. Hello. Hi. Do you... Who's going first?
You were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pearls before swine. This is Lee. I'm introducing him because nobody is going to recognize him. Lee loves to dress up. He has dressed up as a priest, as an Easter bunny, as a comedian. Recently, Lee has grown a very twirly mustache to make him look like a pantomime villain. So now here's an excuse when he gets booed on stage. Your turn. We're gonna do what everybody else did, but shorter.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. If we could just drop the lights, and Chris, you get on your knees so everybody can recognize you.
That's accurate.
Yeah. Chris's last name is Weir, like weird, without a D in it, just like his mouth. Weird. Without a D in it.
Yeah. We good? We good? Lee is bisexual. He's in a throuple. He's popular on TikTok. He wants to be in Gen Z so badly. His spirit animal is a bucket hat. Lee says he's in a throuple, but what he means is he's just watching two men fuck through a peephole.
Chris used to work at a gay men's sauna. Well, he worked as a reminder to everybody of what AIDS does to the body. Chris has the body of a meth addict and the 5 o'clock shadow of a sexual predator.
Thank you so much. Lee used to work as a lifeguard, saving people from drowning, so he thought he'd try comedy because he's used to an unresponsive audience. I can just imagine the terror of being out at sea and gasping for air, my lungs filling with water, blacking out, and then waking up on shore and seeing that mustache and being like, put me back. I don't care if you shave it or kill yourself. I just want to see you with a razor in your hand.
Okay, let's go. Chris has lived most of his life in Scotland, but has an American accent. It all makes sense when you see him shooting up outside schools. Don't let the vocal fry fool you. Chris is a racist. Chris was a semi-finalist in the LGBTQ plus New Comedian of the Year competition, so give it up for Chris. Yeah. Not the first time you got the clap for coming second.
That was my favorite. Lee is very muscly. Every time he takes his top off, it's like a movie. Tragic Mike. Lee is a muscled gym bro with a handlebar mustache. He's almost exactly like a gay porn star from the 80s. We're just waiting on the blood test results.
Okay, Chris says he practices safe sex. I suppose the safest sex is when no one wants to fuck you. Chris believes, though, it's because he has really great taste in men. But that's only since he's started sucking the cum out of flavored condoms.
I don't have a comeback, just a cum mouth. Lee is born a day after me. I'm the 25th of November. He's the 26th funniest person in this room. If like 100 people leave. Lee takes Ritalin for his ADHD, protein for his muscles, and a handful of sleeping pills after this gig.
Chris struggles with addiction. He celebrated 9 years sober in 2021 and now is a failure. Chris doesn't do any drugs, though, which is an absolute shame because he's putting that weapon of a nose to waste. I swear to God, Hitler would have killed for a nose that big.
That's me done. You done? We're done. We're good.
All right, number 2 battle this week. Delightful.
Absolutely fucking delightful.
Yeah.
Just, I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it was really, look, I'm a sucker for, there's so many effective ways to do roast battle now. Like, it started as like a joke writing competition. It was like, who can write the best joke? And then it evolved as it got on TV and it became a little more theatrical. And then you have everybody developing different styles, which I think is healthy for the sport and good. You don't want everybody to do the exact same thing. That being said, my love language is just really well-written jokes. The double entendres. Oh my God. I was losing my mind. So many well-written, clever jokes. His last name is Weir, like weird without a D in it, like his mouth, weird without a D in it. Amazing.
Chef's kiss.
I don't care if you shave the mustache or kill yourself. I just want to see you with a razor in your hand. It's not the first time he got the clap for coming in second. Like, all of these jokes that are so intricately woven, like, that's the shit that speaks to me.
Yeah. This was one of my favorite battles of all time.
Yeah.
First of all, they're both so cute. Like, Chris, I want to put you in my pocket and feed you M&Ms. Like, you're just when you just kept being like, that's true, just agreeing with all of his jokes, it was adorable. And then Chris, you would turn it and like you'd say the cutest thing of like, yeah, that's true, and then you'd be like, and then he did and like hit him with the hardest joke, and I love that juxtaposition. Oh, okay. I lost my train of thought because they're just so cute and I just loved it so much. All of the jokes were so good and the setup, like the premises were so fucking creative. And I mean, you just said it, but like, yeah, they were the 26th funniest person. Like that set, like we didn't see from both Lee and Chris. The jokes were so creative, and like I'm speechless because it was just so goddamn good.
And it was, and look, I was not going to, we belabored the point last week about how long the Scotland battle was and how long they tend to be. So I wasn't going to say anything about that, but Chris beat me to it. Chris, after his first joke, was like, we're going to do the same thing everybody else did, but shorter. And it was the perfect amount. Each joke was like 2 or 3 parts. They build on each other. They all tied in. Done. Move on to the next one. It wasn't like 8 jokes that weren't even connected by a loose thread.
Yeah.
Just a random collection of jokes. It was like everything that was said to build up to the next thing, which was also good, and then they kind of kept it moving. It was like perfectly paced.
Yeah.
It was really, really well done. In general, I mean, I was writing down the jokes that I liked. I had to stop after a while.
Yeah,
because
every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought Lee was, I believe this is my first time seeing Lee, and he was just hitting so consistently. Not that Chris wasn't, but Lee was really like kind of next level to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I literally don't have words. They were so good. Like,
you got it's interesting because on the heels of the 3 battles that we just watched, Denver was like a little bit hit or miss, and it's the title match, and then you got Digits doing the Digits stuff, and then you got the Brandon Kiefer bully kind of thing to just take it back to the essence of Roast Battle, which is 2 friends who obviously really like each other on stage, sort of busting each other's balls. That is what the show was founded on, and it's refreshing. It's nice to see. My biggest thought watching this back is, did I fuck up in ranking this number 2?
I can't see how a battle could beat that, but like,
I might have fucked up.
I trust your...
So what happened was I actually watched these battles on the way back from San Diego. I wasn't driving, so I popped in headphones and I watched all the battles. We were in San Diego this week, by the way. Great show for Roast Battle San Diego, who, while not officially a part of the league, I think they are making some steady progress towards when we do expand, and we will at some point, their name will absolutely be in the conversation. So great job, San Diego. But on my way back from judging those battles, I watched all of the battles for this week, and this number 1 battle really... I enjoyed it so much, and it made me laugh and everything. And then after I came up with the order, I sort of rewatched a couple of them in a different setting. And it's amazing how it'll hit different in the room than it will on video. It'll hit different in headphones than it does out of your computer speaker. And I'm confident that this number 1 battle is very good and a lot of fun. But it might end, and you might be like, Scotland got robbed.
Well, and I mean, context is everything, because you also have to put in like what battle you watched before that. Like, I just watched a battle where it wasn't very friendly, and then this one was super friendly, which we all know I love. And so yeah, I'm excited to see what number 1 is.
Let's see, and if I'm wrong, we can all
Murder
get mad at me
Pat
in the comments. It's okay. I'll take the heat on that one. The number 1 battle this week comes to us from New York City. This is a battle from the Roasted Show at Grove 34, which means it's a 5-joke battle, which is my preferred New York battle. The 13-joke marathons absolutely destroy me. But this one is a lot of fun. It's between Eric Asker and Brittany Ledesma. It's the number 1 battle this week. Here it is.
All right, that's on Eric. Let's go.
Brittany, I want to thank you for coming out tonight. I know you'd rather be bullying a fat girl into killing herself. She really likes that. Brittany dates men and women, and she's also Mexican, so that makes her bisexual.
I'm excited to roast Graham with facial hair. Eric
wanted to be a magician growing up, mostly because his fantasy of sawing a woman in half. In fact, he dropped out of college to pursue his passion of making the allegations disappear. Also, he's dumb.
Thank you, AOC Senor.
You're welcome, you fucking try hard.
No problem, J-Lo self-esteem. Brittany also went to a school for severely dyslexic children. Right? So that makes her retarded!
When it comes to Eric, 1 out of 10 women agree.
Okay. Brittany reminds me of one of the women from that reality show. What's it called? Real House Cleaners of Orange County.
Remind me of someone to catch a predator. Okay. Eric looks like he mansplains tampons. He knows so little about women. I was telling him about my heavy flow. He started rapping. For real though, you can find him on SoundCloud. He goes by Spell Check. Spelled with a KKK, right?
You can find Brittany on OnlyFans.
And you can find him paying me to make videos saying I love you.
Yeah, Brittany, she has an OnlyFans and she used to be a stripper. Brittany Ledesma, more like Brittany definitely has herpes, am I right?
Eric's criticizing me for stripping and having an OnlyFans because he thinks it's wrong to have a job. Eric's favorite way to hit on women is with his fist. Just kidding, you scrawny twat. I could beat the fucking shit out of you. Hope you brought a walking buddy, bitch.
Last joke, unfortunately.
That was a good one. Who did all my Pocahontas? Brittany looks like a brand ambassador for Plan B. But she actually has a job at her father's company that she got through nepotism. Which is crazy. I didn't know it was that hard to get a job selling mangoes in the subway station.
Brazilian men to follow, fuck, kill, and eat you tonight. Because unlike you, Eric, I have a job to pay for things like that. Eric says he's addicted to whippets. That's what he calls whipping black men on the subway.
Okay, so number one battle this week, New York. After watching it back, I think that Scotland was a more well-written battle. I think that Scotland had better jokes. I think that there's something to be said, though, for... Dude, the audience looked like that. It was like a Def Jam
100
recording.
Yeah, that was
when
wild.
Eric was hitting, and I did love the juxtaposition of like Eric's silliness to Brittany's like aggressiveness.
Yes, I did too.
And for Eric to open up the battle with, I'm sure you'd rather be bullying a fat girl into killing herself, and then to have just a few jokes later, Brittany like literally like, I would beat the fuck out of you,
you scrawny little bitch.
Yeah, I mean that was wild. But when Eric was hitting his super silly shit in the beginning, the bisexual, AOC Senor, J-Lo self-esteem, the people in the front row were having like a conniption. They were going crazy, and the audience reaction was nuts. And I do think sometimes you watch, I'll sit down to watch 10 battles. and you hear one and you're like, man, something special is happening.
Yeah.
there. And then you watch it back and you're like, oh, Scotland probably had the better jokes. But the energy was crazy.
Yeah.
I did like sort of the momentum swings of the battle. I liked their different styles. I liked that he was more silly. She was more, like I said, aggressive. I thought he was killing it up front. I saw a very clear momentum swing on the OnlyFans thing.
Yeah.
When she said you could find him paying me to make a video saying
Like,
I love you. Because that's one of those jokes that just perfectly captures somebody's essence. Because I could picture Eric doing that. And then I thought from that point on, she was kind of in control. So it was really like two halves.
Yeah, it was very fun. I thought when she did the OnlyFans joke, I was like, man, there are a few things more emasculating than like saying you pay her to tell her you love you, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then she topped the emasculation by shouting at him that he was a scrawny little bitch, and like to watch a 4'11" tiny woman and 100% believe her when she says like,
she would fuck
I would fuck you up.
There's no doubt in my mind.
It tickled me to my core, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. Like I loved that she leaned into the aggression. Like, it was just
and it followed
excellent.
My favorite joke of the battle from her, where he said his favorite way to hit on a woman is with his fists.
Yes,
which I think it's one of those jokes where I'm like, that's so good and effective, and I can't believe we've never heard that before.
Yep.
To the point where like I wasn't even thinking about the believability of it as it relates to Eric. It was just like, oh, I respect that joke. And then before I could even process, like, wait, he seems actually pretty scrawny. She, doubled down and hit that, for us. She really kind of beat us over the head with that one, which was great. I mean, this is, I think one of the things that I really like about this battle is when it ends and I don't have a clear view on who the winner is. I think that the competitiveness and the energy of the crowd really sort of carried this one, and the personalities of the battlers involved.
Yeah, I don't think you made a mistake ranking this number one. I think it was very tight, and you're judging two different criteria, and that's what makes your job so fucking hard.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that, because it's really. Some of the battles we're seeing, we're getting such variety from all around the world. And these are only the 5 that made the 5. I mean, Barcelona sent us a really great one that for the longest time was in position. And then, like, I had to, it came down to, like, them or Denver. They had a really good one. We had good ones from London, which has been killing it all season. Like, everywhere it's getting more and more competitive as the season goes on. And it can be really hard to compare apples and oranges. That New York battle and that Scotland battle could not have been more different.
No, and I mean, you can't deny that the audience was insanely loud for the New York. I mean,
ear piercing. Yeah.
Like loud, maybe the loudest battle we've heard on this show. Like, yeah.
I've seen Eric before. I'm a big Eric fan. That was my first time seeing Brittany. There's just something about just a tiny little woman bullying a tall guy.
A full-grown straight white male.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see.
I want more of it. I want her to battle more men forever.
Just take
in
back
perpetuity.
The night. Yeah, in perpetuity.
It would be interesting to see her battle a woman, because she'd have to change her tactic entirely, I think. That would be an interesting challenge. But
I'm sure she's done it.
Yeah,
That's the thing. I would love to know more. We get into the pattern of seeing the same kind of people over and over again, and then every now and then you have one that comes out, and you're just like, "What's their deal? Where have they been?"
Yeah.
What's going on with this?
That being said, I don't need to see her battle a woman. I just want that.
Yeah,
but
you want to see like how the strategy would be different.
Yeah,
I get that. She had some great jokes too, but it was really just like, to me, the personality was taking everything to the next level. And the OnlyFans, that was, because I feel like the lazy version of that joke is you can catch him paying me for feet pics, or just like picking like a buzzword, like a funny like sequence of words. But the idea that he would send in for a video where it's like, I just want you to tell me you love me, is so much meaner.
Yeah.
So mean.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So
that being said, I'm on Cameo. If anybody wants to pay me to tell them I love them, I 100% will.
I'll do it too. You don't even have to pay me. I'll do it. I genuinely love everybody, so I'll do it for free. All right, fair. All right, but that was a number one battle this week. New York, great stuff, and that's going to be a big jump in the standings. Let's take a look at those before we get out of here. We will start in the United States because that's where most of the movement was this week. Chicago and New York both pick up some points. Chicago gets 1.5 as a result of their number 3 battle featuring Brandon Kiefer. They get half the points. And then New York picks up 5 by way of the number 1 battle, which puts them in a dead heat for the second playoff spot. Austin, which just a couple weeks ago was in sole possession of second, has now dropped all the way to 4th, and they are only a half point clear of Denver, with the Bay Area in bringing up the rear and in the basement there. Over in the International Division, no movement this week, although Scotland has closed the gap with Tokyo to 1 point.
Wow.
As they battle for that second playoff spot. We got a little bit more time. We're middle of July. November 1st is the end of the season. A lot more time for different cities to make a move. I love how competitive it's getting. I love how everybody wants to be crowned the first ever world roast battle champion. Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks as always for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Tell a friend. Tell somebody who likes battles. And we'll see you guys next week. RBL Weekly. I'm Pat Barker.
I'm Sarah Keller.
And see you guys next time.